Hello, everyone. You were listening to Cinema 5000. My name is Mallory. This is my podcast. I've got 6 movies to talk to you about on this episode. I did get out to the theater despite circumstances. Just been having some stress pain in my leg, and it's been difficult to walk. Stairs have been terrible, but I went to the movie theater 3 times, and I'm doing better today, so yay. But 5,798 films seen and 6 on this episode. Let's just get going. We start with Jane Austen, Wrecked My Life from 2024, though now just released in theaters, directed by Laura Piani. There is no tagline for this film. The title is the tagline itself, but an aspiring author looking to get more out of life takes up a writing residency and finds herself in the sort of romantic entanglements that could come from the pages of a Jane Austen novel. This stars Camille Rutherford as Agathe, who is our central figure, the woman who is torn between creativity and longing and figuring out her life. Is she in love with someone? Is she entangled with someone? And what's happening? It's like a very confusing time for her. And this sort of takes a page from a couple other Austen-centric films that I've seen over time. I know there's probably others out there, but the Jane Austen Book Club is a movie that comes to mind. I haven't seen that since it first came out. But another one is Austenland, which I only just saw in the last couple of years. And this is probably closer to Austenland from what I can recall, but I think this is probably better out of those movies that really are like going for the Jane Austen experience, translated through the lens of a modern experience for a young woman. And Agathe, she's like not really happy in her life. She works at a bookshop and she has this coworker, Felix, who she gets along well with, most of the time. So it's like set up in the beginning where you're just kind of like, whoa, could something happen between them? But when she goes to this Jane Austen residency, which I'm not going to spoil how she gets to this, she does meet a man who, as someone on Letterboxd has deemed as Diet Hugh Grant, who's played by Charlie Anson, the character Oliver. He does sound and look quite a bit like Hugh Grant, though I think Diet Hugh Grant is not the right word. He's just Hugh Grant adjacent in like many, many ways. Really excellent casting. So we kind of go through the motions of Agathe, like learning how to write or not write, how she feels about her life, perspectives through the other people she meets at this residency for writers, and her being confused. But I think that's the joy of it. After just seeing Pride and Prejudice in the theater recently again, this is like a nice kind of continuation of the story of like, your Elizabeth Bennet, so to speak. And I thought this was charming. It's very, very light. Like, this is a movie you might like forget within a day or so. But I think for what this is doing, it is very, very French, but also very, very keeping in mind that people want an escape when they want to see a movie that's like a romantic film. And for a modern romantic film, this isn't reinventing the wheel at all. I think Agathe's longings are pretty typical, but I think there's enough charm in this to make it worth watching. You maybe don't need to go to a movie theater to see it. I only really saw this in the theater because the day I was going down to Boston to go see Sinners in 70mm, due to my leg issues, I really didn't want to walk anywhere else between the time of Sinners and the concert I was eventually going to go to that evening. And the timing worked out where I could grab a bite to eat and go see Jane Austen Wreck My Life and then take a lift to the concert and not miss a beat, or sit around long or anything like that. And this was a fun movie to see, like with a full audience of folks who were all on dates. Yeah, there was a lot of crowd in the Brookline audience who were, couples having a nice night together, maybe having, a coffee or a drink of some sort and just enjoying their time. So it's a charming film. Yeah, it's like not anything, it's not gonna break the mold or anything like that, but I enjoyed Jane Austen Wrecked My Life, directed by Laura Piani. I gave this 3 stars, and I think this is something that's gonna pop up on like Canopy and stuff like that, and it'll be easy to find and watch anytime you want as a nice little treat. So, taking a page from the Cannes Film Festival, I went ahead and decided to watch a number of films directed by filmmakers who had movies that played at the latest edition of the festival. The Palme d'Or winner film was directed by Jafar Panahi. The film was called "It Was Just an Accident," and I have heard of Jafar Panahi before, and how his struggles to be a filmmaker who is in Iran have like really led to a lot of controversy and also, issues with his well-being. He was on a hunger strike at one point, trying to, get some kind of safety in his life. He's a really interesting character, and I had never even seen one of his movies until now. And so knowing that he won the Palme d'Or for It Was Just an Accident, I decided to give his movie Taxi from 2015 a look. There's no tagline for this film. A yellow cab is driving through the vibrant and colorful streets of Tehran. Very diverse passengers enter the taxi, each candidly expressing their views while being interviewed by the driver, who is no one else but the director, Jafar Panahi himself. His camera, placed on the dashboard of his mobile film studio, captures the spirit of the Iranian society through this comedic and dramatic drive. This is like a slice of life through the lens of a taxi and a filmmaker kind of film. It is like kind of a faux documentary thing, and the pictures of the portrait of these people who all enter his cab and how they interact with him, if they know him or not, if they're related to him or not. And this is a very enlightening and fun film, but also there's some darkness to it when it talks about the situation that Panahi's like experiencing in Iran as a filmmaker. I don't want to spoil this because I want to really recommend you take this movie like as a thing to watch soon, because it's a really easy watch. Like you would assume like something like this is going to be like really heavy, but no, this seems like Panahi like really having fun with the idea of being confined to this, though I know the making of this was probably no fun at all. It's just like it's a really complex film without feeling like it's complex as you're watching it. But once you start to get to know what kinds of things are happening and how people are recognizing him and the situation he's in driving around, it's really like subtle, and like there's just stuff simmering and boiling under that you kind of recognize once the movie's over. And I really recommend this. So give this one a shot. I watched this on Canopy, and it's currently available on Hoopla, and you can rent it as well, just as a digital rental. Now that I've finally seen one of Jafar Panahi's movies, I'm gonna watch some other ones. No Bears is the movie that I've heard about for a while, and I really want to give that one a look, probably next, because it's on the Criterion channel. It's something really easy and accessible to watch. And The White Balloon from the 90s, like I've never seen that one, but I've seen it around, just as like a movie, like kind of when it comes to the foreign section of like any streaming service. And even the video store I worked at had it, and I never have seen it. So I'm going to have to give that one a look. And yeah, I definitely recommend Taxi. I think that feels like, sometimes when you're watching filmmakers who've never seen the movies of before, there's always like a movie that's maybe a gateway drug into like what kinds of things they do and what they're talking about. And I feel like Taxi is that kind of movie, even though it's a latter film in his career, because The White Balloon was 20 years earlier than this. But yeah, give Taxi a look. I recommend it, from 2015, directed by Jafar Panahi. I gave it 3 stars. I don't think it's, it's not like a movie I'm watching and I'm like, oh my God, it changed my life. It was a good time. I liked it, and I liked the things it was trying to say. Okay, up next, so Joachim Trier won the Grand Prix at the Cannes Film Festival for his new film called Sentimental Value. And I've seen a number of his films before. I've seen Louder Than Bombs. I've seen The Worst Person in the World, Oslo, August 31st, which I think is great, and his film Reprise. So Thelma was the movie of his that I had not seen in full. I had watched part of it a long while ago and just was like not in the mood for it or something. But I finally gave Thelma from 2017 a look. And as I said, it's directed by Joachim Trier. The tagline is, "Unleash your true self, unleash your true power." A college student starts to experience extreme seizures. She soon learns that the violent episodes are a symptom of inexplicable abilities. This is definitely a slow burn of a picture as we get to know Thelma, who's played by Eli Harbo, and she comes to, was it school? Yeah, she comes to school. As you get to know her, she's like very sheltered. She doesn't like consume alcohol, and she's lived this very restricted life, and she meets this fellow classmate who's played by Kaya Wilkins. The character is named Anya, and they start to strike up a friendship, and includes a romance between the two of them. But as Thelma starts to discover things about herself, we start to piece things together of like earlier scenes we saw in the film and what's really going on with Thelma and like maybe why her life is a certain way. I'm not going to spoil it and say anything other than that, because this is a movie that, it really went places with this character and talking about her experiences and why she's having them, how that affects her being and maybe her home life. It's a dark film too. I think Joachim Trier is really good at really talking about, how do I say it? I don't want to say like the darkness of life, but just the things that maybe we don't really want to have conversations about because it's troubling when it comes to our families and the way that we're raised, or maybe the things that we have as perspectives and how that affects the people around us, and how we live our lives. A movie about people. This is a movie about people, but I will say this has a more fantastical edge to it. So it's not necessarily something that dabbles in extreme realism. No. There's something else happening here that is not realistic. And I think some of the darkness of the film luckily did not overshadow that, because if it had, it was more of the focus and it didn't go this other direction, it might have just been like a tragedy kind of film, this Euro tragedy kind of thing that like a lot of dramatic films have, that you see and it's just like, oh, well, something terrible happened to these people, that's why they're almost up. But Thelma has a little more going on there that I'm not going to spoil, because I'm going to really recommend this one. Much like Taxi, there's things like happening behind the scenes that we maybe see and then we start to understand a little bit more about. And I think where this movie is really successful is in Elie Harbaug's performance. I really liked her as this central character, and she's very believable in this part. And there's so many other things I want to say about this that I really, really enjoyed and like want to watch again about the film, but I don't want to spoil it. But I gotta say, Thelma from 2017, directed by Joachim Trier, I quite enjoyed it. I gave it 3.5 stars. It's quite an escape. It's a little more unassuming compared to his other films, though. I think I like this more than Reprise and Louder Than Bombs, though I think August 31st, that might be my favorite movie of his. Worst Person in the World, I think, is really great, but something about August 31st, is like all-timer tragedy energy. I just really, really like that film a lot. But yeah, Thelma's pretty good. I watched that on Canopy. It used to be available on Hulu and such, but not anymore. I think that's where I had started to watch it. But you can rent it as well, one of those $3.99 rentals on most services. Up next, we have Me and Orson Welles from 2008, directed by Richard Linklater. Richard Linklater's newest movie, Nouvelle Vague, is something that recently got picked up by Netflix, and it did play at the Cannes Film Festival, but did not win any awards, and that's about the French New Wave and the making of the movie Breathless by Jean-Luc Godard, and I'm a little iffy on that one, and now after watching Me and Orson Welles from 2008, directed by Linklater, I'm even more iffy on it. Even though Richard Linklater is a filmmaker I will always watch the movies of, I was not a fan of this one. The tagline is, "All's fair in love and theater." New York, 1937. A teenager hired to star in Orson Welles' production of Julius Caesar becomes attracted to a career-driven production assistant. Zac Efron is our main character, Richard Samuels, who lucks into working with Orson Welles, played by Christian McKay. In this Julius Caesar production where everything goes wrong and everything goes right in some ways. Claire Danes plays Sonia, who's the very attractive production assistant. And, they suggest in the film that Orson sleeps with all the ladies. And, this is a very predictable film about behind the scenes. And you have this performance of this larger-than-life character played by Christian McKay. And I think he's fine. He's okay. I think I prefer Tom Burke as Orson Welles, who's briefly in Mank. But was this any good? No, I thought this was quite terrible. The script is very unimaginative. Efron's role is really typical by the book, young teenage kid. I say young teenage, but he's like 17 in this. And of course, he falls for this older gal, Claire Danes. So then you add in the Orson Welles being, the womanizer he is, even though he's married. And everything you think is going to happen is happening in this movie. In its way that it portrays behind the scenes looks at, a stage production. It's so dull. I thought this movie was very bland. Claire Danes, I think she's actually really great in this. Like, she takes a part that is very, very much kind of a cliche throwaway in some ways. Just really nothing remarkable about it, but she's just such a delightful performer in this. Like, she's really vibrant, and you want more for her in this part. And like, I can't give the movie too bad of a rating because it's watchable, but it is eye-rolly all the way. And Christian McKay is fine, but man, I thought the ending of this was also really, really bad. Maybe 2 stars is a little too strong, but I'll give it 2 stars. I'm going to give it its, rating there. But yeah, knock knock. It's Day in Court. No, not good. So Nouvelle Vague, I really hope it's Linklater dialing into something a little better than what this is when it talks about Godard, and also hopefully something better than the other movie that played at Cannes that was about Jean-Luc Godard, though in the latter part of his career in the 60s and early 70s, I think. Redoutable, or Godard Mon Amour. So bad. Like, one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life. Bad. But yeah, we'll see. I don't know. I'll watch it. I think I have to. But if it's bad, I will be very upfront with it. Something that's not bad is Tornado from 2025, directed by John McLean. In the face of evil, become a force of nature. When her father's puppet samurai show gets ambushed by a notorious gang, Tornado vows to seek vengeance and forge her own destiny by stealing their ill-gotten gold. Well, that's not necessarily how the plot goes, but we get to know Tornado, who is this young woman who is fleeing on foot in the British Highlands, maybe Midlands, I don't know. It's like 1790 in this film, and she's running away from this gang of guys who include Tim Roth and Jack Lowden, as well as Rory McCann, who you might recognize from Game of Thrones. He's in this. I don't want to spoil this one because it's a newer film, but Kyoki plays Tornado, and I thought she was really good in this. Good presence. I don't think it's a great role as it's written for her, but the way this movie plays out, it really made me think of like a book, like maybe a picture book or something, a story of some sort, because it just has a way of playing out this story in a way that like gives you visuals first and then maybe dialogue later. It wants to tell you so much about the visual language of this story through the lens, through the people, through the costuming and the characters, and everybody in this movie has an interesting face. Someone else who's in this movie that I should mention is Joanne Wiley, who's formerly Joanne Whaley Kilmer. She is in the movie Willow, and she's also in the movie I recently watched with Jamie Lee Curtis called Mother's Boys. And just having someone like her in this movie, like a small part where she just shows up and like she gives face, but she gives character, and you know so much about this character without her saying a word. Like, really good casting in this movie. So much of this that I enjoyed was just how it looked. Like I said, you don't necessarily need to hear what people are saying in the dialogue, but it's lovely costuming and sound work, and the score. I think the score is probably one of the best scores I've heard in a while, and I'm very sad that it's not online. But for what Tornado is, it is a fairly short movie. It's 91 minutes long, and John McLean's other movie that I have seen is called Slow West. If you haven't seen Slow West, I feel like this is like a more well-rounded version of that one. I thought that movie was just okay. Like, the slightness kind of worked against it, and this is Tornado is like barely longer than that. But the atmosphere of this one and the way that Kyoki is like acting as Tornado against Tim Roth and Jack Lowden, though I do have a complaint about Jack Lowden's hair. The way his hair was styled is maybe a little too modern. Regardless, just the way that this movie works in this story of this young girl running away and the things that she's experiencing, it was fun. It was nice. I never actually saw the trailer for this before I saw it. I just saw that it was directed by John McLean and starring Tim Roth, and only had one showtime a day at my local movie theater. I was just like, well, I think I have to go. And I'm glad I did. It was a nice time at the theater. It was something that I was like, oh man, is this movie almost over? I wish this would go on longer. Uh, I do have to wonder if John McLean, the way he made this movie, he was on an extremely limited budget. It does feel like a movie like that, but it also feels like a movie that really used its money and time and space wisely. Like, set the dollar amounts aside. This is a movie that is shot very, very well and looks amazing. The cinematography is done by Robbie Ryan, who also did movies such as Poor Things and Marriage Story. And I think he did a really wonderful job in setting the atmosphere. And I gave Tornado 3 stars. Like, I don't, excuse me. I don't think this is going to work for everybody, but I had a really nice time in the theater seeing this, especially since I hadn't seen the trailer. I didn't have any impression of it beyond just what the poster was, and it lived up to me, not knowing much about it. Though I do kind of wonder if this is going to be a movie where people have seen the trailer and then they go into this and they're like, the entire trailer is in the movie, you know? I don't know. But I enjoyed it. 3 stars. Yeah, I look forward to what John McLean is doing next, because as much as I didn't really care for Slow West, it almost doesn't matter because it's such an intriguing film and there's like such a vision, you know? Like, I can look kind of I can look aside at the things that made me not like a movie if there's enough of a definite, you know, language to the film that is more or less what the director is, you know, trying to keep. I'm saying too much. Just a director with a vision. Let's just say that. Okay, and our final film on the episode is The Life of Chuck. Technically from 2024 because it played at the Toronto International Film Festival, though it is coming out in theaters this coming Friday. I think limited release and then like a wide release the week after, directed by Mike Flanagan. The tagline is, "Every life is a universe, all its own." Charles Chuck Krantz experiences the wonder of love, the heartbreak of loss, and the multitudes contained in all of us. And this stars Tom Hiddleston as Charles Chuck Krantz. Now, this movie is not out in theaters yet, so I don't want to spoil it. I will, however, just be really quick with my thoughts on it. This was not for me. I found a lot of this movie to be very hollow and empty in its scripting and how it talks about these ideas it has about life and love and, you know, growth and time and space. And I was not fulfilled by much of any of it. And I question a lot of the performances in this that are just not really solid for me and feel too, I'll say it, like discount Spielberg ideas of characters. And I know I could say a lot of really harsh things about this movie because I was sitting there in the theater the entire time just wondering when it was going to get good, and it never got good. It's not for me. I think Flanagan fans are going to like it because it's the way he talks, his characters talk, you know, through his script and such. But I think that's a big failing for the film in this. If you're going to have this movie be about life and things that people experience, I need the meaning to be just beyond be something bigger than what the movie is trying to do, because it all feels like flat and not really explored much at all. Yeah, I really did not like this movie. And it is too bad because I know this is based on a short story by Stephen King, and I've read a number of his short stories and I've read a number of his books, but no, this didn't hit for me at all. And yeah, there's a cast of characters who are very recognizable from other Flanagan projects. You also get Chiwetel Ejiofor here. And yeah, Tom Hiddleston as Chuck. Though I have to say one thing kind of bothered me. There's a number of ways that this movie sets it in certain time periods, and I think the details are really not there. But wouldn't he be called Charles when he was a child? I know. You wouldn't call a 10-year-old Chuck. I just don't buy it. Yeah. I don't want to be the mean person here saying this movie is bad, but I do think it is not good at all. My immediate thought when watching this was it reminds me so much of the movie Pay It Forward. That is not a good thing. And I don't think I'm going to say much else just because I found a lot of this to be really not my thing. I do need to mention, there is narration in this movie done by Nick Offerman, which I think first and foremost was a very bad decision of how to talk about this movie and the things it's discussing. Yeah, it's not for me. Life of Chuck now going to be released in theaters coming this week and the week after, a little bit wider. Yeah, it says 2024, but like I said, that was when it played at the Toronto International Film Festival. 1.5 stars for me on this one. Not my bag, unfortunately. And I saw it in the theater for the Regal Mystery Movie this week. I had no idea what it could be. And then it hit me like a day or two ago, like, oh wait, it's gonna be that, because there's just no way. And then my friends confirmed it in a discussion that it was basically going to be this, and I'm like, cool, so I know what I'm getting myself into. But it's just too bad. No, this was not for me. Yeah, that is the episode. I would say so much more about the life of Chuck, but I don't think anybody would want to listen to a spoiler discussion of that, because not really a lot of people have seen it at this point. It will be interesting to see like what a lot of reactions are from other folks, because yeah, once this hits a wider audience, are they going to be on board? Well, that is the episode. Thank you so much for listening. Coming soon to theaters, what am I going to be seeing? I think I'm probably going to be seeing John Wick Ballerina with Ana de Armas. And Angelica Houston is back. Yay. I love Angelica Houston. I can't wait to see her in that, even though I know she's probably just going to be in like one scene. It doesn't matter. I'm going. The Phoenician Scheme from Wes Anderson is coming to theaters as well. That opens this Friday. I'm so excited. My mom is like, when does that come out? I think she's secretly a very big Michael Cera fan. It's going to be a great time, and I think I'll drag my dad along too. It just seems like the right kind of movie to go see with my folks, because it's one of those arty films, and yeah, I'm old enough that when the Royal Tenenbaums came out in theaters, I saw that with my parents, and it was a good time. And I like going to the movies with my folks if I can get them out of the house. And I tried to get my mom to go with me tonight to the mystery movie to go see The Life of Chuck, because I was just like, come on, Mom, you gotta go. And she's just like, I'm busy. Yeah. But what else is coming on deck? Well, I did rent Catwoman from iTunes or Apple Store. It's not iTunes anymore. I've never seen Catwoman with Halle Berry, and I want to. It'll be interesting to see how that movie has aged, how the effects are, and if it's fun. If it's fun on any level, truly. And Sharon Stone is in that as well. Yeah, what else have I got for like movies? I don't know. I have a bunch of like random DVDs that I've recently gotten. I've never seen Barry Levinson's Sleepers, and I recently got myself a copy of that. I've always wanted to see it. What a cast in that one. If you don't know, it's like Jason Patric, Brad Pitt, Kevin Bacon. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what else. Maybe I will give Jafar Panahi's No Bears a chance real soon, because I like Taxi. And his other movies, like, yeah, White Balloon, and is one called Water. Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, thank you so much for listening. Cinema5000.com is the website if you use YouTube to listen to podcasts and not watch them, or watch them and not listen. I don't know. I'm on YouTube, so Cinema 5000 podcast is on YouTube. Please subscribe. And if you have not subscribed in all the places that I am, Amazon, Google, Apple, Spotify, you can subscribe as well. That'd be cool if you did that. And cinema5kpod@gmail.com is the email if you want to send an email. Cinema5000 on Bluesky. Yeah, I'm on there, and I post stuff from time to time. When new episodes get uploaded, when the YouTube gets uploaded, that's where the notes are, and I'm posting funny stuff here and there every once in a while, too. And spoiler alert, I am going to be starting a Patreon soon. It's going to be really low. It's going to be random stuff, stuff that you wouldn't see on Blue Sky, or maybe stuff you would see on Blue Sky, and maybe I'm just like, hey, give me $1. But yeah, I'm Mallory. Thank you so much for listening. We'll talk soon about what other movies I've seen. Thanks. Bye.